All right, all right, all right. We're back with another one. My name is Moses Andre.
My name is Janelle Lewis.
We welcome you to the Value Menu Podcast, where value is given at no cost to you. We got a very, very special guest tonight. Man, give us a little quick introduction, man.
How you guys doing? My name is David Smith. I run a seven-figure Amazon company, 23, based in New Jersey, and appreciate you boys for having me.
Of course, bro.
For sure. For sure.
Heavy hitter in the Amazon space, for sure. It was mandatory we had you up here, man. Damn. I want to get into it. I want to get quick. So, real quick, right? Tell them a little bit more about you. Like, where you from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. So I was born in Haiti. Came here when I was 7. Life was good. I had great parents growing up, great values. Went to school. They were serious about that. After high school, I got out of high school. I tried going to college. I did a semester. And, immediately I found out it wasn't for me. It just wasn't the route I wanted to take. So I dropped out of high school, started working long hours.
Dropped out of college.
College, my bad. Yeah. So I dropped out of college, started working long hours at Chick-fil-A. Within this time too, I was really just trying to prove to my parents, like, I can figure it out. And you know how, Haitian parents are.
Yeah.
You're not going to school.
Ooh,
They're on you, bro. So that was a very dark point in my life, just trying to figure things out, just working long hours. I started other things after that as well, if you want me to get into that, but
Okay. No, yeah, we're gonna definitely segue into that. So, I'm assuming from the trials and tribulations, right? You being in that dark spot, right?
mm-hmm.
I always kind of see it as like a caterpillar growing into like a butterfly type of thing. So it's safe to say that kind of like fueled you to want more, right? Fueled you to kind of look at other options because you knew that school wasn't for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think many people kind of think that too, but they're just afraid to actually, go against the grain, go against their parents, right?
Yeah.
So kind of go into like how that affected your entrepreneurship journey and how'd you end up
Here. So I'm gonna be honest. So when I dropped out of high school, I really had college. I'm sorry, I keep saying high school. But when I dropped out of college, I really had no plan. I was working long hours. I really didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yep.
I just knew that, I always knew something would work out. I think the breaking point for me was I used to work these 12-hour shifts, and the breaking point for me was I was on fries one day, and the rule in Chick-fil-A or at my location was if you work that position one shift, 'cause I used to work 2 shifts, you work that position one shift, it's like a unsaid rule, like you can't work the same position twice. So this specific day, this one manager, she purposely kept me on fries, right? And the whole day I'm telling you, bro, I'm sweating. And you know how Chick-fil-A lines are, bro. It's nonstop. You're dropping fries. And bro, like, I was pissed. Like after that shift, I remember this day vividly. After that shift, I walked over to my car. It was raining. I sat in the car for like an hour. Everybody left. I sat in the car. I was like, bro, I'm never doing this again. Like that's like the turning point with everything that I've done, every risk that I've taken. It all stems back to that moment. Because to me, it was just like such a slap in the face, right? Because it's like, damn, I'm sweating. And I remember calculating the amount of money I made that day, right, after taxes and everything. I'm just like, bro, I'm a slave. Like, this is not it. So that was like really the turning point for me and what affected where I am now.
Yeah. Real quick before we keep going, right? You say you were born in Haiti.
Yeah.
What kind of like, as we know, we all 3 of us Haitian here.
Yeah.
What kind of like characteristics and things that you kind of grew up with growing in a Caribbean household? Most of our parents are strict. 90% of our parents are strict. How did that How did that kind of affect your entrepreneurship journey? How did that affect you, and how you even saw things like moving forward?
I think for me, one major characteristic that I took from my parents is, and I'm pretty sure you guys too, is they work very hard, right?
Super
like
hard.
I watched my dad, and he probably didn't notice, but he would come in my room at like 3, 4 a.m. He'd wake up 3, 4 a.m. because he has to get ready for work. He'd just come check in on us. I'd be like half awake. He just look at us kind of like as motivation, and then he just go do it, right? My mom never complained. Like, bro, my mom never complained. She's like a workhorse every single day, day in and day out. And I remember too, like my parents, they didn't have like, they weren't rich, they didn't have much. My parents always made sure that,
It was
you know, I was, you know, with the trends, right? Like kids getting new KDs, all the new clothes, all the styles. Like my parents always
it
made
work.
sure that I wasn't that kid that was like left out. They got me phones and everything like that. So one thing that I really took from my parents was no one really cares, right? Like if they made the excuses, who's gonna care? You're an adult, you gotta figure it out.
exactly.
So that's definitely one of the things that I took from my parents. Definitely hard work. And never making excuses, just making it happen, right? Because the older you get, no one is really gonna care. They only care about results, right?
Exactly.
You can't really complain about all the things that you went through. If you don't make it, no one is gonna care. No one's gonna want to hear your story anyway. So you got to make it work.
Okay. Yeah, because I felt that, and it's just like we just by DNA we hard workers, like you know what I'm saying. What you kind of choose what area you kind of want to push that into, right? But I just feel like we once you, especially coming from another country, it's that's a whole different breed. Like you get what I'm saying. And it just instills a certain like characteristic in you, like almost in a survival aspect. But it's like, yo, I have to do this.
Yeah,
Got like a chip on your
no
shoulder.
other way.
Like a chip on your shoulder.
for sure.
Yeah. But okay, so now we know this about you, right? And kind of talk about, because I know you had other business prior to Amazon.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about the leading up to that.
Progression. All right, so man, I was very blessed in a sense where I made a lot of money coming out of high school.
Yep.
So after I dropped out, I was working long hours at Chick-fil-A. You know, I was trading at the time too.
Yep.
And I wouldn't say it was like with skill. I made a lot of money by luck. I made like 50 grand in a day. Right? Just it was very risky trades. So I ended up losing half of that money too, but I transitioned over to starting a drop shipping company.
Yep.
And this is how I know like God has blessed me a lot, just because I've made a lot of money. Like coming out of high school, like I started this drop shipping company. It was me and my brother, Facebook Marketplace. We would take listings from Amazon and we would list them as new on Facebook Marketplace. So if, let's say for example, we bought a bed frame, it would be like $50 on Amazon. We'd list it on Facebook Marketplace for like 70. So we'd make the $20 margin in between. So when people order from us on Facebook Marketplace for $70, we go and order it on Amazon Prime. They get it in like a day or two, and we just keep the $20 margin. Now we ran that business up to like 60 grand in like 5 months. Like we just ran it up. But you know, at this point I'm on top of the world, right? I'm like, damn, I got all this money in my bank account. I'm like 19. I'm like, damn. So me being a hotshot, right? I started a trucking company. Me and my brother sat down. We were like, yo, let's put this money into something, right? As you should. So we ended up, you know, we got a truck, we got a trailer and everything like that. We set everything up. Mind you, I'm 19, he's 17. 2 kids trying to run a trucking company.
Yeah.
And it's cutthroat, bro. Like, especially at that age, bro. Trucking company's cutthroat. So we ended up running into this guy, and, you know, this guy's gonna, later on in this short story, he's gonna scam us for like 10 grand. But we ran into this guy. We thought he was gonna be like a mentor for us because he had all these trucks and stuff. So we went to him, basically said like, hey, you know, can you teach us the ropes? And he also had a parking spot, which we used to park our truck. So me and my brother, we ended up hiring a driver. Bro, we're 19. I think the driver was like 35, right? Hired a driver. We started shipping him out all over the country. I think the first spot was Colorado. So he started going all around the country. Mind you, at this point, we're trying to keep our overhead. We're trying to stay alive, right? Because every single month we're just burning cash. Why? Because insurance is expensive as hell. Diesel cost. Then you have maintenance, right? We spent thousands of dollars on tires alone. And the trailer, bro, it's like we're keeping up with it, but it wasn't easy, bro. And then to make the story short, you know, we're running this guy into the dirt. Why? Because, you know, we're young, you know, we didn't know any better. The truck ends up breaking down in Ohio, and he has like 40,000 pounds of cat food on him, which you have to deliver. So once you sign off on a delivery, like by law, you have to deliver it wherever it needs to go, right? So the truck breaks down, and he abandons the truck, right? He leaves it out there on the side of the road, right? What am I gonna do with the truck that has 40,000 pounds of cat food, and I'm in New Jersey, and it's in Ohio? So, you know, I was able to, you know, stay composed in that situation. I reached out to a couple of local truckers in the area. I had a guy, I paid him like 1,500 just to go get the trailer, drop it off. So I was able to fix that part right there. But one of the luckiest things that happened was the truck didn't get towed, bro. Like, it stayed out there for days on end. I remember calling a local towing company. Towing company got it. They dragged it over to some abandoned parking lot, and it stayed out there for days. And I spoke to another guy. He went and got the truck for me. Long story short, brought it to New Jersey, and you know that was the end of our trucking company. I lost all my money, so I had to start at zero again. It's a crazy experience, but you know, you learn from it.
Yeah. So going through all of that, which is crazy.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh.
Which is insane, right? Somehow you still had the courage, right? You still had the fight to go into something different, right? You didn't give up. Most people gave up.
Yeah, like, you know what?
Most people, after losing $1,000, is giving up. That's it's over. What kept you going, and how did you stumble to Amazon FBA?
So for me, it was never a matter of there was no giving up for me, right? Like, I had it in my hand. It's like I had it in my hand.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you watch Snowfall, right?
Yeah,
Franklin said he had it in his hand, which is why it was so hard for him to let it go.
Exactly.
So for me, it was more like, okay, if I could just systemize something to where I can make money month over month without losing it, without high risk, I'll be back to this point again. So, of course, it wasn't easy, right? That was probably a darker side of my life, just because I was up here and then I got shut right back down, right? So what I did was I started working again like a horse. Like, I worked all day long. If I wasn't at home, I was out doing DoorDash, Uber, anything that I could just to get my hands on some money. And what I did with the money was, and this took a while too, right? Because I would get the money and I just toss it out of business. If it didn't work out, right back to work, right? I'd save up a couple $1,000s, toss it at something. If it didn't work out, right back to work. So then I sat down one day with my brother, and we were like, bro, instead of trying to start all these businesses, why don't we just go back to making money online? We made money in the first place with an online business. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. So kept working that job. And at the time too, trying to save all this money, we came across something called, it was like last mile delivery, right? Very interesting, very side quest thing that we did, but we used to deliver packages for companies until we realized, like, yo, we can leverage, and you helped me with this too. We were like, yo, we can leverage, instead of us driving, you know, to deliver all these packages, why don't we just leverage people and just take a margin from whatever they're making? So this was like a side quest business, right? So here's how it went. We got a contract from these Chinese people, and I won't say the company's name because they were really good to us. We got a contract from them. So they'd give us like 400, 500 packages a day. And I remember reaching out to you, and you helped me a lot with this too. And I asked you, like, yo, do you have any drivers, you know, that's available to do this? And they would pull up to my house. I'd load them up with like 100 packages. Yo, go get this done. But I think the thing that made them, you know, really work well with us was that we paid them same day. Whereas like the other companies that they work for, they get paid like once a week, once every 2 weeks. So the difference with us was like, yo, we take the hit. Like, we'd pay you same day, whether it's like 150, $200. We'd pay you out same day, just get it done. And then after the 2 weeks, the Chinese, like, they wire me my money, and then, you know, I make the difference from that. But that was like a side quest thing that we did to, you know, really get our money up so that we can start, you know, investing into Amazon, learning about it and everything like that. And then things got aggressive from there.
Yeah. Okay.
Love the hustle.
Okay. Why What made you go 10 toes on Amazon? Like, what? How did you see the potential?
So the potential with Amazon, I think it came from, drop shipping, these marketplaces. Once I got that first sale, it was like, damn, it gets addicting. Once you get that first sale, it's like, if I could just multiply this, 100x, I can make this amount. It was kind of like that. So we got our first couple of sales. We was like, it's like a high. It's like, damn, okay. All I got to do is just put the systems in place and scale it. And then it'll be, at the volume that we are now. So, I always saw it as a potential. Once we got our first sales out, I knew it was up from there.
From the first sale.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
From first sale, like once I saw the proof of concept, once I knew, like, okay, I can plug in a product and someone from the other side of the country will buy it from me from California, and I'm in New Jersey. It was up from there. All I had to figure out from there was what products do I have to sell for me to get to the numbers that I want to get to, and then it was over.
So it's a deep dive more into that. So for beginners, what's the first step should they take to start selling on Amazon, and what mistakes should they avoid?
That's a great question. So I know a lot of people online, a lot of gurus online, they tell the average person, hey, you can start with $200-$300. And I really fight back against that, because what are you going to do with $200-$300, right? I think you need to go work a job, save your money, couple $1,000, $2,000-$3,000 is a safety net for you to start and for you to do it the right way. You start with $200-$300, you put it into bad product, you're out of the game. You start with $2-3 grand, you can kind of diversify that $2-3 grand in 10 different products. The ones that sell really well, you double down and buy more. The ones that sell just okay, you can kind of like let them sell out and then put that money towards better inventory. So that's one advice that I give, is just start with more money, because you protect yourself that way. Another thing is start with the right model, right? Because there's different models when you sell on Amazon. There's retail arbitrage, there's online arbitrage, there's wholesale, which is what I do, and there's private label. So I would tell you to avoid retail arbitrage at all costs, right? If you don't know what retail arbitrage is, it's when you go into stores, you're scanning products with your phone, and you hope you find a product on the shelves that you can resell on Amazon for a profit. Now, why I say avoid this at all costs is because you're wasting your time. And I did this, and speaking from experience, it's a waste of time. Why? Because if you go in a store and you buy something, you happen to find something, or you get lucky, you find something, it's profitable. The likelihood of you going back to that store and finding that same product, it's very low. So it's not something that you can repeat. It's not a system that you can put in place to produce the same amount of cash flow month to month. So one month you might have a month where your business does really well, and then the next month it's like, did I even have a business to begin with? So definitely avoid those two things for sure.
So you speak about systems a lot. What's the importance of having the systems in Amazon?
So, man, without systems, you won't be able to do certain things. So for me, the way my systems, it allows me to focus on growth of my business. So some of the things that I've outsourced now is the sourcing aspect. So when you're selling on Amazon, you need to be able to source profitable inventory in order for you to resell on Amazon. Now, I've outsourced that part of my business. I've taught 5 other virtual assistants, which I've outsourced, overseas to do that part of my business. So they produce my business leads every single day. Another huge part that I've outsourced in my business is the prep. Because when you buy inventory, Amazon requires you to prep the inventory. So you need to put SKU labels on every single unit that you sell. And when you send it out to Amazon, that's the only way they'll be able to scan it in and tell what's your product or what's someone else's product. So I've outsourced that part to two other Haitian guys that, they're family, they're very good, and they work very hard. So they definitely help me a lot. So I don't have to be physically in the warehouse. They already know what to do. I've trained them well. All they have to do is go in there, whatever needs to be prepped, they take care of it. And then from there, we ship everything out to Amazon. So that allows me to really focus on, the pain points of my business and the growth of my business without actually having to be in it. Because if we're being real, putting labels on a product doesn't make me money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a high income.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a high income. Okay. Do you think anybody in 2025 could start an Amazon business, start selling on Amazon, or is it too oversaturated?
So, I think anybody with the right mindset can start selling on Amazon. Now, if you treat Amazon as if it's like a side hustle, that's okay, right? I mean, It's okay in the sense of like, yeah, you'll make a couple $100 from it, but if you treat it as an actual business, like Amazon is a crazy cash flow, like it's a crazy cash cow. You put the money into the right products, you're gonna spit out profit on the other end. That's kind of how that works if you take it seriously. Now, as far as if anyone can start, right? If you already think Amazon is saturated, then it's probably not the business for you. You lost before you even started. I don't think any business can be oversaturated. I don't think drop shipping can be oversaturated. Not Amazon, not grass cutting, and you see all these companies outside cutting grass. I don't think any company can be oversaturated. Why? Because there will never be a time where there will be more consumers than sellers, right? The same thing with Amazon. There will never be a time where there'll be more, I mean, sellers than consumers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's facts. That is facts.
Yeah, I said that backwards. My bad.
Yeah,
Sellers than consumers.
more sellers than
Yep.
I know what you meant.
Yep.
So how do you actually find winning products to sell?
You did speak on one bad item, $200, you're done.
Yeah.
So how do you?
So I can kind of give you guys some pointers on like the bad items first because I didn't touch on that. So one example that I can give you on a bad item is an item that fluctuates a lot. So in this business, we don't buy items because we think it's going to sell. I buy items because I know it's going to sell based on the data that I'm reading. So one of the key pointers that I can give you guys is if you're looking at something called the keeper chart and you scroll down and you see an item is very volatile. So it goes from like $10 one day down to $5 up to 15. That's not a product you want to buy just because if you put money into it, it's not guaranteed that you're going to make money just because it's too volatile. So you can buy it, you can buy it at 15 when it is profitable for you. But if the chart says that it's volatile within the past, it's not a guarantee that you'll be able to sell it for a profit in the future. So stay away from products like that. Stay away from products where, the brand is selling, right? Because I've had products where it makes me $400 a month, but just because the brand hopped on the listing, just to stay within my rule parameters, I get off of that listing just because I know it's not about if the brand is going to strike your account. It's really about when, right? So you want to try to stay away from listings where brands are actively selling on their own listings. So as far as, good products, I think you mentioned, good products, low competition. Low competition can be anywhere from 5 to 10 FBA sellers depending on the velocity of that listing. So I look for listings that also have a lot of volume. So anywhere from 300 units sold in a month is typically what I would go for. Stability within the price or the buy box. So what that looks like is if a product is selling at 15, maybe it goes up to 16, maybe it goes down to 14. So it's very stable. So if you buy 500 units of a product, you know that you're going to be profitable in the future because of what the data showed you in the past. So those are some examples of some good products that you can look into.
Have you ever purchased a product that you thought was going to be successful and it completely failed?
No, never.
Okay.
Why? Because, and the reason I say that is because when I first started, I used to sit in my room and just study data, right? Study the keeper chart, study how products move. Now, I have bought products where I thought I'd sell more and it sold slower, but it didn't flop. It still sold through. I still made money on it.
Yeah.
That happens, but I've never had a product where I bought it and it didn't sell. Right? That's the emphasis that I put on understanding how to read data, understanding how to read competition, different markets, different trends. I've never had that happen to me. Never.
Okay. So from what it sounds like, reading data and actually studying is one of the most important skills in this business.
It's the most important skill. If you don't understand how to read data and buy inventory, you will not make money long term. This business runs off of you making buying decisions. It's based on you literally buying inventory for your business. So if you can't even do that, you won't make money long term. So it's the most important skill.
Okay.
So should sellers go after trendy products or should they go after long-term like evergreen products?
So for me, None of my products are trendy products. It won't sell 1,000 times this month and then sell 20 times the next month. And to answer your question, evergreen products are products that you can use every day. So yes, I think if you can build your business on products that consumers will buy every day, like soap, detergent, deodorant, things of that nature, you will run a business and make money month to month. And that's what I try to focus on. Now, doing it is the hard part, right? Finding that stuff, finding the right distributors, suppliers for that. That's the hard part, but that's the whole point. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But if you can double down and focus on these types of products where people just buy it every day, your business is going to print money every single month.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. I know we spoke about you outsourcing, right?
Yeah.
You got to a point that you outsource. So did you feel like, because some things in a business, right? I feel like a business owner shouldn't be doing, right? And you should outsource things that are not really producing income, right? You should be wanting to do things that are like income producing, whatever, right? So it seems that studying the charts is from what it seems, it's a income producing job, right? It's an income producing type of thing you have to do. So what made you kind of outsource it, and when did you know that, okay, I need to outsource this? And like, you know what I'm saying?
I think for me, what made me outsource it was I'm only one man.
Yeah.
So there's only so many products that I can find and buy.
Yeah.
So if I can leverage myself, my knowledge, and put that knowledge into 5 other people, I now have 5 other people sourcing for me. And if, for example, my VAs work 4 hours a day, I leverage 5 people. I have 20 hours every single day that's generating me inventory. Right. So that's kind of how I think about it. Now, as far as what made me get to that point, right. It just got to the point where I had money and it wasn't being distributed fast enough. So I had to leverage other people to find more leads for me. So that's kind of how I got to that point. And also too, without my team, I probably wouldn't be in the position that I am, just because they make my job easier. All I got to do is just manage them. They put my purchase orders together. All I got to do is just go through it, make sure everything is green, $20,000 order put through. Okay. Whereas if I was doing it by myself, it'd take me hours on hours to do that on my own. And they just make everything so much easier. They make my systems faster. They make it more efficient for me. All I got to do is just sit down. There's legit some days I wake up, check my purchase orders. If they're good to go, send it off. And I just spent 20, 30K that morning before, and I do what I got to do for the rest of the day.
It's a lot of trust.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you got to trust them, right? Like all the big companies, they trust managers and all these, high positioned people because, they believe that they can do the job that they were assigned. And that's kind of how you have to be as a business owner. At some point, you can't just be scared, like you want to hold all the pie to yourself. You got to trust that someone else will fill that position. Yeah. And, that will allow you to grow long term.
So I really want to get into like the nitty gritty. So like you said, stay away from retail arbitrage, right?
Yep, stay away for sure.
Okay, so now where am I? I'm a beginner in Amazon. Where am I buying these products?
Okay, so what I would recommend you do is, and I don't recommend you do online arbitrage either, but for the sake of you understanding the business, you need to understand how to read data. So go online, go reverse some storefronts. And what I mean by that is you can go on different stores on Amazon and reverse what they're selling to try to sell it yourself. It's kind of like you're sniping whatever they're selling. Yeah. And I would recommend you look through storefronts that has anywhere from 1 star to 200 stars. Why? Because they're smaller sellers and you're probably going to find opportunity there. So what you're going to do from there is once you're going through these storefronts, you're finding different items that they're selling. Google the items and see if you can sell it for a profit. So for example, if they're selling a pair of sunglasses and you Google that product, the product is selling on Amazon for $50 and you could find it for 20. You just arbitrage some profit, right? So go through the process of being able to find products like that, being able to receive the product, prep it, ship it to Amazon. Do that for about 1 to 2 weeks. once you've done that and you understand the infrastructure of Amazon, how it works, go directly into wholesale. Wholesale fixes all the problems that you're going to run into in 2025. What do I mean by that? When I started 2 years ago, the problems that new beginners are facing now, I didn't face them 2 years ago. 2 years ago, you were able to buy 10 units of any product, whether it's Febreze, Dove, any of those big brands, 10 units from a Target or a Walmart, submit the invoice to Amazon, and you'd get ungated. Ungated is when Amazon gives you permission to sell a product. Mm-hmm. And when you're a new seller, Amazon gates most brands for new sellers.
So you can't just create a seller account and sell Nike.
Nope.
You gotta get permission.
You gotta get permission to sell it. Yeah. Now, for new sellers, another reason why I say just go right into wholesale is because when you're working with authorized distributors, they provide you the invoices that you need in order to get ungated. And not only that, you want to run an actual business. So if you find 5 products from a distributor making you $200 a month, the baseline of your business is now at $1,000. In order to grow from that, all you got to do is just buy more products from distributors. And the reason I say that is because when you're doing online arbitrage, there's something called order limits, right? So if you found a product, you won't be able to bulk order 200-300 units at a time. When you're buying from an authorized distributor, you can go back and order as many units as you want. So you can kind of grow your business exponentially over time, month to month.
Okay. Word.
No, for sure. So, what separates somebody from making $1K a month to someone scaling 7 figures?
So there's a few factors to that. So I think, are you saying like 1K a month every single month, or?
Yeah.
So I think one definitely has to be, it might be a capital issue. We could start with that. So with Amazon, if you don't have money, you won't make money. That's just the bottom line. You need money to buy inventory to sell on Amazon. So we can start with the capital issue. Number 2 is it's probably a business model. So if you're doing retail arbitrage, again, it's a very low leverage task. You're running into stores hoping you find products to sell, and if you don't find any products to sell, you won't make any money.
And you just wasted time.
And you just wasted time, right? You're working another job. Why even do that to yourself? That's basically the 2 things. So it's probably capital, or it's your business model for sure, or maybe it's just a sourcing issue. If you don't know how to source inventory, I mean, you won't make money either. So all those 3 things.
Or a system issue.
System issue too, for sure.
Okay. All right. So you said a lot about wholesaling, right? And I mean, I would assume this takes a little bit more capital to get into.
Yes. So I would say for wholesale, you need at least $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because distributors have something called an MOQ, which is a minimum order quantity.
Yep.
And it might be like $1,500. So if your minimum order quantity doesn't meet at least $1,500, they won't even ship out your inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. You used to do retail arbitrage and online arbitrage.
Yeah, I started with that. Yep.
So now kind of break that down on why you kind of say what you say now as far as like you should never do it. And then how did you stumble on your first distributor deal?
Okay. So this is very interesting. So I used to do retail arbitrage. Yes. So me and my brother, the first retail arbitrage flip that we did was we walked into Costco and we got lucky. Right? Well, we got extremely lucky. We found these waffle makers.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
It was like a pallet of waffle makers, and we bought them out, right? And we made good money on that. So I was like, damn, this is easy. Retail arbitrage, we just go in the stores, buy stuff, buy pallets at a time. This is easy money. But, bro, we learned real quick it's not like that.
It's not sustainable.
Bro, we used to go from store to store looking for the same products. You're not going to find it again, right? And then you're just sitting there. You're scanning items like a bot, right? You're wasting your time, which is why I'm so against it, is because I went through it, bro. It's very low leverage. You're wasting your time. If you get lucky, yes, right? You get lucky in like 4 hours of you scanning products, you get lucky.
But how many times you going to get lucky?
How many times are you going to get lucky?
Exactly.
And when you do the math on the money that you've made, you're just working another job, minimum wage, right? It's not worth your time. I did online arbitrage. It's the same thing. It's a bit higher leverage because you're sitting behind a computer ordering these things. But again, you run into order limits, so you're not able to buy 300 units at a time if you wanted to. You're gonna get flagged. Your account gets flagged depending on what website you're buying from. And it's the same thing with retail arbitrage, right? So if I bought a product from Target online and it was profitable for me, if I go back to buy that product, it might not be on sale again. So I had to wait another cycle to buy it again. So that's why I say go directly into wholesale, because the wholesale game is all about building relationships, and you're buying these items at wholesale pricing anyway. We're just flipping them on Amazon for retail. And as far as like your last question, you said, how did I come across my first wholesale deal? I think for me, I went to a trade show in Las Vegas last year, and I was just networking with all these guys. I was always looking into getting to wholesale. I just thought it was harder than it really was. After wholesale, I really got motivated. I spoke to a lot of guys there. They told me exactly what to do. And wholesale is just, you put in the hard work up front, right? You got to call distributors. You got to send out emails. You got to do the full 9 yards. And after like a month of, endless emails and calls, I got in touch with a distributor that was able to sell to me. And then I went through the catalog, found some products that I can buy, and then I just placed the order. So that's kind of how I went on placing my first wholesale order there.
Okay. And I'm assuming you have more than one.
Yeah, so a big misconception that most people have is that they think you need 100 different distributors, to run a business. Like my business is doing a little bit above $100,000 in revenue a month. I only work with like 3, right? And the reason that is because it's not necessarily a volumes game when it comes to how many distributors you have. It's more of a quality and relationship. It's a relationship game. Like I have one guy, he's based in New York. He's my sales rep in New York. This guy, I've spent so much money with him. It's gotten to the point where if something comes in, he'll call my phone directly. Hey, Dave, do you want this? Right? Just because I've built that relationship for over a year, I consistently buy inventory from him. So he takes care of me, right, as a customer. And, I take care of him because I keep coming back to him for more inventory. So it's really just a relationships game. It's not necessarily about the amount of distributors that you have on hand.
So at what point did you realize that your Amazon business could be $1 million operation?
So I never really thought about my Amazon business reaching 7 figures. I just thought about, what I did to get those first few sales, right? I never think too far ahead, because I think when you do that, you kind of miss steps. Like you miss different bricks when you're trying to build this tower, right? So for me, it was more like, okay, I got my first sale. How can I get another one, right? And once I started selling, 10 products in a day, right, I start asking myself these questions. How do I sell 50? Right? And then you keep going down that, that rabbit hole of, okay, you keep hitting these milestones. Okay, what do I have to do now in order to hit 100? Right? And I think that's how most businesses or most entrepreneurs work, right? They kind of just ask themselves questions over time, right? They optimize their systems, which then allows them to make more money over time. And then before you know it, you look up, damn, I have a 7-figure business. So for me, I never thought about if I was going to get to 7 figures, because I didn't think about that to begin with. I just thought about how can I get better as a seller. And then, over time, you just kind of look up like, damn, okay, cool. Right. But even reaching to this point, it doesn't really do anything for me. Like, and it's not even in a cocky way. Like I knew I'd get far. It's just, all you got to do is just put in the work, ask yourself questions every day on how, you can advance your business. And then one day you'll look up and you'll be like, damn, all right, cool. Let's keep it going.
Okay.
So how do you decide when to reinvest back into the business versus like paying yourself?
This is a good question, right? And this might ruffle some feathers, but when it comes to reinvesting your business, it's really about what you want to do long term, right? And this can look different for everyone. So for me, I knew that I wanted to grow a real business. So I didn't take any money out of my business for maybe the first 6 months. So every dollar that I made in my business, I just put it all back in. And now, like, it can get very hard for some people because my growth was very, very aggressive, right? My first month, I lost $500, right? and this is from me understanding the game, learning. I put a couple $1,000s in the next month. Maybe I made like $1,000, right? Once I understood, like, yo, I can put money in. Once I understood how to buy inventory, like, my growth was very, very aggressive. Now, it might not be like that for everyone. I'm a very aggressive person when it comes to risk. Once I understand something, like, I'll put money behind it. So my third month, which was December 2023, I did $10,000 in profit. So I grossed 14. After my expenses and everything, the business netted 10,000. That very next month in January, I did $20,000 in profit. That's like net after everything. The following month after that, I did $30,000 in profit. So the snowball for me was like, yo, I made 10K in a month. I didn't take any money out. I put it right back in. That following month, I made another 20K. On top of that 10K, I put the full 20K back into more inventory, which then led to $30,000 in a month, right? I took the full 30 grand, and you got to understand, right? For most people, if you made 30 grand in a month, bro, you're going to want to splurge the money, right? You're going to want to take a couple $1,000s, maybe some designer here, some shoes, some clothes here, some dinners. Bro, I was locked in. 30 grand, bro, right back to inventory. Like, I didn't really care about anything else but, you know, growing my business. So that's how I was able to grow over time. Now, if you're someone that's, you know, if you're someone that's just looking for side hustle, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? If you're someone that's just looking to make an extra $500, $1,000, very possible. You can take the money out of your business, right? That's your business. But if you want to grow long term, grow over time, Amazon is a cash cow, right? Use the profits, buy more inventory. It's like you're multiplying your money. So it really depends on your goals.
Yeah, so yeah, the importance of reinvesting, I feel like a lot of people like kind of don't understand because well, I guess especially if you kind of think of it in a long-term perspective, right? I kind of think of it as a plant. You have to water it in order for it to grow, right? Put it in the sun, water it. If you keep taking pieces of the plant, obviously it's not going to grow, right?
Exactly.
So I feel like that's a concept a lot of people kind of don't really get, right? So you talked about how you lost $500, right?
Mm-hmm.
What other roadblocks have you faced with this Amazon business? Did we talk about getting gated. Was there any roadblocks there? What kind of roadblocks did you face that you could tell other people like not to do?
Man, I mean, Amazon is kind of like the girl you like that's always bothering you, right? So
Okay.
For me, it's like Amazon is a business where you're constantly putting out fires every single day, right? So for me, in the beginning, it was the gating issue, which new sellers are going to face today. You got to try to figure out how to get ungated. And in 2025, to get ungated is you have to buy from authorized distributors. Now, when you purchase inventory to get ungated, a lot of times Amazon won't accept it. You just have to keep submitting the invoice, right? A lot of times Amazon will reject your invoice, right? I've had times where I've submitted 25 times and Amazon will reject me all 25 times, and on the 26th, they will accept it. So for the ungating game, it's kind of like just keep submitting, right? Like, don't get discouraged. This happens all the time. It happens to me to this day. If you have the right invoice, if you have the things that they're asking you for, just keep submitting. So that's definitely one roadblock. I think another roadblock is managing your cash flow, right? Like, that can become a huge roadblock, especially at scale. Just because for me, I work with 3 other distributors, right? But within those distributors, I might have 5 different purchase orders lined up, or I might have back orders. And what a back order is I might go to the distributor and say, hey, I want 1,000 units of this product. They might not have it on hand, but what a distributor will do is they'll go and order that product for me, right? So when the product comes in, I have to have money in my bank account to pay for it. So definitely managing your cash flow, understanding where your money is going, that's definitely a roadblock you can come into, because sometimes you might spend money without understanding that, yo, I have a back order coming in a couple days. I need a couple $1,000s in my bank account to pay for it. So that's definitely a pain point. Another pain point, and I'll drop some really good knowledge here, is the logistics. So Amazon is not just a game of arbitrage, it's also a game of logistics in 2025, which is what puts most people out of business, because they don't understand how to ship inventory. So when you get to the point where you're shipping out pallets, I think it's beneficial for you to reach out to local trucking companies, build those relationships, because that's really going to help you long term save money. And another thing that most Amazon sellers don't know is that if you have a shipment going out, let's say it's like 5 pallets going to Amazon, bro, just ship it through Amazon Freight, right? If you ship it through Amazon Freight, right, just type in Amazon Freight, make an account. Their LTL services are usually cheaper than most local companies you're gonna find. So you can save a lot of money there. Another thing you can do is something called optimized splits. So if you're shipping out enough units within your shipment, you can do something called optimized splits where Amazon will split your inventory throughout fulfillment centers throughout the United States so they don't charge you placement fees. So you can do something like that too.
Okay. Um. Okay. Word. Another question I have for you: how has selling on Amazon changed your life personally and financially?
Damn, bro. I mean, Amazon really changed everything for me. One aspect I can give is, bro, I get to wake up on a Monday and be happy, just
Yeah.
like I would be happy on a Saturday. I wake up, sit behind my computer, and do what I love, right? I get to run a business. It like I'm not driving Lambos and all these crazy cars, but I think for me, being able to walk in a store or being able to walk in the grocery store, just picking things up without having to worry about it, being able to pay my bills. All of my bills are on auto pay. Like some people might not have the opportunity to do that, but little things like that, not having to worry about the day to day expenses, it definitely takes something off of your shoulders for sure. Financially, Amazon has definitely allowed me to do other things. Now, I'm not someone that really travels much, or I don't do any, crazy extracurricular activities. But for me, it's just having the peace of mind that if, my mom's car broke down, mom, I got it, right? If she needed something, mom, I got it, or my dad, right? If anything happened with, in the house, I could take care of it. So, Amazon just, it's really changed the dynamic in which, I live every day. Like I don't wake up thinking like, damn, I got this bill due, right? Because it's taken care of, right? So that's one aspect for sure.
That's love. That's love.
So do you think Amazon will be still the best platform for e-commerce in the next 5 years, or do you think something else will take over?
No, I think it's going to be very hard for anything to compete with Amazon. Why? Because it already has a huge portion of the market. When it comes to Amazon, Amazon has over 250 billion customers, not billion, million customers shopping on the platform every single year. Amazon, when it comes to the logistics side of Amazon, I think within the next 5 to 10 years, Amazon is going to be bigger than UPS, USPS, just because at the rate they're growing, they're going to be unstoppable to beat.
They're delivering medication.
Bro, I don't see anybody competing with them.
Medication, groceries.
It's and in a world where people they have very short attention span. Like you order on Amazon, bro, you don't want things to come in 5 days anymore. It's like that's too long.
You can get it the same day.
You can get it same day.
I've got an Amazon order in an hour.
Yeah, right, bro. I spoke to a lady the other day. She's on a team where they're actively working on building more fulfillment centers. Yeah. Right? They already have hundreds across the U.S.
It's like
but they're working on building more locally. So like you're gonna have people in the middle of nowhere getting their packages in a day, in a couple hours, just because that's their goal, right? Mm-hmm. Their goal is to take as much up of the market as they can. Yeah. And I think they're gonna do it, bro. It's Amazon is a crazy platform. They're growing very fast.
So, all right, real quick, right? You talk about discipline a lot.
Yes.
Right? How important was discipline? How important is discipline and delayed gratification to you? Because you said you profit almost 6 figures a month. Most people are, let me get this. Let me, walk into a mall, doing whatever they want. How important is staying disciplined, seeing the course, and delayed gratification to you?
I think discipline to me is very important because it's gotten me to the point that I am now, right? So After I went right back down to zero,
Yep.
discipline and understanding that if I just do this, I'll eventually get this. I didn't know when I would get it. I just know if I went outside, got out of my house at 7 a.m., got back home at 1 a.m., right? Just legit door dashing every single day. If I knew that if I just saved up money, threw it at businesses, eventually one will work out, right? So discipline is very important in that aspect. As far as delayed gratification, it also comes from a place of insecurity. I think after losing all that money, it made me very insecure about losing money, just because it's a very hard feeling of having it in your hands and watching it slip through your fingers. I think for me, like I wouldn't say like I'm cheap. Like eventually, God willing, like I'll have all these nice things, the Lambos and everything like that. But for me right now, I think I'm in a season of building, right? And I think I want to set myself up for the years to come. I don't really care about, buying all these extravagant things, because what's the point of buying it now if, I can't sustain it for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think for me, having that base, understanding where my money is going, I can set myself up, set my family up, which is more important to me than, having the flashy lifestyle and everything like that. So definitely have to delay that gratification. And also, it just helps you grow over time, right? If you're making all this money from your business, if you're spending it, what's the point of making the money anyway?
Yeah.
Right? If you're not going to keep it, like someone that's making $100,000 in a month and they spend 95, you could have just worked a 9 to 5 to do that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
honestly.
Right? So I think for me, it's more about, trying to keep the money, reinvesting it, and then once you reinvest into the right things, those assets will produce you the cash flow to go and buy this stupid thing, to go, on all these crazy trips and everything like that. So that's what I'm working towards right now.
If you had to start all over with $500, what's the exact steps you would take to rebuild your business?
I get a job.
Yeah.
I get a job, bro. I think $500 is not enough,
Yeah.
especially like if I had to start personally right now with the knowledge that I know, I think it's possible I could do it. I think for the average person though, $500 is definitely not enough money to invest in inventory. Not only that, if it's your last $500, you're gonna be emotionally tied to it,
Yeah.
right? Like if that's the only $500 you have, you literally can't do anything after that. I don't think you should be starting any business.
Yeah.
That's just me being honest. I think you should go get a job, save up a couple $1,000s, and then you can leverage that job to then take the risk that you want to take. But just for hypothetical purposes, if I started with $500, I'd do online arbitrage, right? Because online arbitrage, yes, the opportunity there, like the leverage there is lower, but we're trying to build cash flow and we're trying to build it fast. Wholesale is more of like a longevity game. It takes a little bit longer to get into. It takes longer to build open accounts, build relationships, find these products. It takes a little bit longer. But if I didn't care about the longevity and I just cared about the cash flow, I'd go online arbitrage. I'd go reverse source different storefronts on Amazon, figure out what they're selling, steal what they're selling, figure out where they're buying it from, and then sell it for myself. Build that capital up to like 3-4 grand, and then I just transition over to wholesale.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, what's one final gem you want to get to someone? They're looking to start Amazon FBA today. What's a gem that you can leave them with? Something to help them get going.
Great question. So if I was to give you guys a gem, I would say focused on your own goals, right? I think a lot of people get caught up in all these huge numbers with different influencers online. For me, I think focusing on my business and what I was doing, I think that's what propelled me to do the things that I'm doing today. You can't control, you can't control certain things, but you can definitely control who you're watching on the internet, the kind of content that, you're taking in, because a lot of people, they get discouraged, right? When you see someone doing 200-300K in a month in revenue, you're like, damn, why can't I get to that point? But the thing that you're not thinking about is they're in, the 100th chapter of their life. You're in the first chapter. So I think for most people, focus on yourself. And again, you don't really know what's going on the other end of that 300K. You don't know if they're over leveraged. You don't know if the amount of risk that they're putting on within their business. You don't know if they're actually making money with their business and not, with marketing or something crazy like that. So focus on yourself, right? That's the most important thing you could do. Focus on your systems, focus on growing, right? if you did $10,000 in a month, that's a huge accomplishment. Most people don't do that. So focus on yourself. If you can hit 10,000, $10,000 in revenue a month, you can hit 50,000.
Yeah.
Right. It's just about understanding what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and, figuring it out, and you can get there for sure.
Dope. Hey, man, this has been a power-packed episode, man. Damn. Yo, before we wrap up, tell them where they can find you, and tell them a little bit about you got a mentorship, don't you?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
So you guys can find me at David Smith FBA on TikTok, Instagram. As far as my mentorship goes, I started that about a month and a half ago. I have about 10 students right now, and they're absolutely crushing it. And for me, when it comes to mentorship, I always wanted to get myself to a point where I'd have the numbers behind a mentorship, because I know a lot of people, bro, they start mentorship.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah,
they're doing like $1,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I wanted to solidify myself in the space where, like, okay, I understand what I'm doing, and I understand how to transfer what I know into somebody else. And if someone is going to be willing to invest in me, I want to make sure that the value that I'm providing them is top tier. So that's what I really focus on. My marketing behind it is not that great. I focus more on the value that I'm providing within my Discord. And I think if I provide the value and my students keep crushing it, I think that will speak for itself. Then I can start promoting that, right? This is what I was able to do for this student and this student and this student. So it'll kind of multiply from there.
And that's why we're at the Value Million Podcast.
In fact,
that's a great way to segue. So yeah, man, I appreciate you for coming up, bro. Man, I hope they get something from this. I hope they take this serious, because this could change their life.
Yeah,
for
man,
real.
change mine.
Yeah.
Discipline.
All right, and that's it for today's episode, man. I'm Moses Andre.
I'm Danelle Lewis.
And thank you for tuning into the Value Million Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And we out here, man.
Sir.
Let's get it.